Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Government House. My name is Hugh Borrowman. I have the honour to be the official secretary to Her Excellency the Governor, and I'll be the Master of Ceremonies today. For the fifth of 6 ceremonies to present Australian honours, most of which were announced on the King's birthday earlier this year. As we start, could I please ask that you ensure your mobile phones are turned to silent? We do ask that there's no photography during the actual session, please. Plenty of opportunities for photographs afterwards anywhere in the House, including as family groups with Her Excellency. Yes, I can do that, sir. So please no photography during the ceremony. The ceremony is being live streamed and will be available on our YouTube channel for viewing afterwards as well. Before we get underway, can I ask you please to join me in thanking the band of the 1027th Royal South Australian Regiment. It's now my pleasure to introduce the official party for today. They are the Honourable Joe Sakash, representing the Premier, Captain David West, representing the Commanding Officer, HMAS Encounter, Lieutenant Colonel Tyson Yu, representing the Army Area Representative South Australia, Air Commodore Margot Foster, representing the Senior Australian Defence Force Officer Edinburgh, and Assistant Commissioner Noel Bamford, representing the Commissioner of Police. If you are able, can I now please ask you to be upstanding for the arrival of Her Excellency the Governor and Mr Bunton, and to remain standing for the playing of the Vice-Regal Salute. Please be seated.
Gana bogana gamina alia, yaich miana alia kum. Nyatuna pumpindi gana miana, yaichi yata matana, bukina nanku, yalaka, takaricha. I acknowledge the land we're meeting on today is Kaurna land, as it has been from the past today and into the future, and I particularly welcome any Aboriginal people who may be with us this morning. But of course you are all very welcome to Government House on this wonderful spring morning. Rod and I very much want Government House and its gardens to be a place where all South Australians belong and are happy to come. We know some of you will be here for the very first time, and afterwards, including for the younger ones, there'll be an opportunity to explore and learn a bit more about the house. I want to start by offering my congratulations to today's recipients of awards in the Order of Australia. Of course, your names appeared in the first King's Birthday Honours list since the Order of Australia was established in 1975. To those of you in the front section, you are those who have, in many cases over a lifetime, offered support and love to those receiving awards, and today is a day for you to enjoy and remember. The Order of Australia and the awards made in it are to recognise outstanding service and exceptional achievement. And of course, you all know what that looks like in relation to the person you're here to support. But over the next half an hour or so, you will also come to hear of the wonderful service of others in our community. It really does all add up to something quite extraordinary. And that's one of the reasons, as a community, when we recognise this, it's not just the recipients and those who they have invited, but it's also our elected leaders, our service leaders and South Australian police leaders. And I also want to particularly welcome Mr. Rick Morris, who is South Australia's representative for the Council for the Order of Australia. He's the one who takes South Australia's recommendations, nominations, thousands of pages of them during the course of a year to Canberra. And I also want to acknowledge the presence of Ms. Pamela Rakowski, who's here representing the chair of the Order of Australia Association, SA, and of course she will, and I will join her in encouraging recipients to join the association. We're here today because someone, and mostly we don't know who, nominated each of the recipients. And I want to encourage you all, please, by the end of this morning, you will have a very clear idea of what the service that we want to recognise looks like. And I encourage you, please, to think about nominating others, to encourage people you might know in our community to be on the lookout for this kind of service, because there are many more Australians, particularly here in South Australia, worthy of that kind of recognition. A final word for recipients, can I encourage you please to wear your insignia. You are normally very modest people who don't seek this kind of attention or recognition, and in fact in every one of these ceremonies there are people who have received the email from the Honours Secretariat, have assumed that it cannot possibly be true, must be some kind of scam, and have deleted it. So I please want you to overcome that natural sense of being a bit self-effacing, to wear your insignia, ideally every day. There's a lapel pin that I wear every day. This and what you will receive is for very special occasions, and there is also a special set of miniatures to be worn with evening dress. So it's not hard to get the hang of it, but it comes more easily with practice. With that, Official Secretary, let's get underway.
Your Excellency, the following recipients have been appointed members in the General Division of the Order of Australia. Dr. Neville Tom Hyatt is recognised for significant service to education in South Australia and to the community. A gifted student who was accelerated through high school, Dr. Hyatt came to understand early the power and influence of teachers to help students reach their potential. After securing a teaching scholarship at university, Dr. Hyatt started his educational career in Katherine in the Northern Territory, before undertaking placements in Cleve and Oakbank in South Australia. After a decade in the classroom, yet still at the young age of 33, he was appointed Central Northern Area Superintendent of Schools. For the next 5 decades, Dr. Hyatt supported the professional growth of thousands of teachers by mentoring, training and development, serving a number of executive roles in the Education Department and the Australian Council of Education Leaders. His focus on improving access to quality education has taken him to Papua New Guinea, Indonesia and Myanmar, where he helped to restructure each nation's education system in conjunction with students, teachers and communities. Dr. Hyatt's community service also extends to the Lutheran Church, Apex and Rotary International, where he has served across a number of executive roles. Dr. Neville Tom Hyatt. Ms. Melinda Jeffries, Jane Jeffries, is recognised for significant service to the community of South Australia through a range of roles. A South Australian corporate identity, Ms. Jeffries has helped steer the success of many iconic South Australian organisations, including the Hilton International Hotel, the Adelaide Convention Centre, the Adelaide Casino, and the SA Tourism Commission. Her career spans more than 30 years at executive, CEO, and board level in the private and public sectors, culminating in her own consultancy business, Jane Jeffries Consulting. Among her many achievements, Ms. Jeffries was the first woman to be appointed a director of the AFL board in South Australia, serving on the board of Port Adelaide Football Club, the first woman in its 140-year history. She was also the first female chair appointed to the board of Data Action, a specialist banking sector software company. Beyond her business commitments, Ms. Jeffries has served the community through board leadership positions in the health, education, arts and aged care sectors, including ECH Independent Aged Care, Patch Children's Theatre Company, Gaming Care, St Mark's University College Council, St Peter's Collegiate Girls' School, and the Bedford Group. Ms. Melinda Jeffries, Jane Jeffries. Professor Jennifer Margaret Mackay is recognised for significant service to the law and to the legal profession. Professor Mackay is a highly regarded national and international expert in water sustainability law. Committed to improving the environment, she has had a significant impact on water reform policies and is an advocate for equitable community access to water. She is also recognised for her research and teaching at the University of South Australia and Australian National University in the area of business law, international business and commerce. As a Fulbright scholar, Professor Mackay taught law and jurisprudence in Fiji with a focus on human rights law. In 2008, her name was added to the South Australia Women's Honour Roll, and in 2020, she received the Premier's Medal for Leadership in Water Sustainability. Committed to the community, she has served as a part-time Commissioner for the Environmental Resources and Development Court in South Australia. She also contributes to the International Water Association and is an ambassador for the Defence Reserves Support Council. The author of more than 180 published works, she is generous in mentoring others and has regularly donated scholarship-style prizes to her former high school that first inspired her love of education and learning. Professor Jennifer Margaret Mackay. Your Excellency, the following recipients have been awarded the Medal of the Order of Australia in the General Division. Mr. Leon Robert Biner is recognised for service to radio broadcast media. By any measure, Leon Biner is a radio broadcasting legend. In a career spanning more than 50 years, he has been the presenter on radio shows in every Australian capital city. In Adelaide, he hosted the top-rating 5AA morning show for an incredible 23 years before retiring at the end of last year. He is renowned for being an irrepressible voice for everyday battlers, for calling out injustice, bursting through bureaucratic roadblocks, holding politicians to account, and breaking news stories. His career began in Victoria at a Shepparton radio station as a 19-year-old, and from there his career progressed, including hosting radio shows in California. In 1966, he switched from music presentation to talk radio, where he excelled as a steadfast, crusading commentator. Mr. Leon Robert Biner. Mr. Geoffrey Norman Coombe is recognised for service to animal welfare. Mr. Coombe, one of Australia's leading authorities on venomous snakes, has spent a lifetime working with and understanding these often misunderstood reptiles. More than 9,000 people have benefited from his expertise through education, training sessions, community engagement and displays. Mr. Coombe has served as a law enforcement officer and interpretive ranger for the National Parks and Wildlife Service and as an information officer for the South Australian Museum. He has also provided his expertise to mining companies, wildlife agencies and medical authorities. Mr. Coombe's intimate knowledge of how people perceive and interact with snakes led him to author 3 books, including his legacy publication, Working with Snakes. He is a founding member of the South Australian Herpetology Group and Living with Wildlife, and is a co-founder of Adelaide Snake Catchers. Mr. Geoffrey Norman Coombe. Mr. Peter William Dixon is recognised for service to baseball. Mr. Dixon has made a major contribution to the baseball community as a devoted, behind-the-scenes volunteer. A life member of the Glenelg Baseball Club, he has been involved with the club for more than 60 years, including 25 years of playing, 14 years of coaching, and 23 years on the management committee. He has won the club's Cooper Trophy for Outstanding Club Person 4 times. Mr. Dixon has also devoted 42 years to working on committees for the South Australia Baseball League, including 24 as a tribunal member. He was inducted into the Baseball SA Hall of Fame in 2022 and was awarded an Australian Sports Medal in 2000. Mr. Dixon is also recognised for his service to the City of Holdfast Bay as a former councillor of 20 years standing. Mr. Peter William Dixon. Mr. Linton George Donisthorpe is recognised for service to cricket. Mr. Donisthorpe has devoted more than 30 years to cricket as a player, umpire, umpire's coach and administrator. Widely respected for his deep understanding of cricket's laws and playing conditions, his love of the game grew from his many years at Grange Cricket Club. As an umpire, he officiated at 222 first-grade games and is a three-time winner of the Tony Crafter First Grade Award from the South Australian Cricket Association. A life member of the South Australian Cricket Umpires and Scorers Association, where he served as president and is currently treasurer, Mr Donisthorpe is also recognised for his service to SACA. He dedicates a significant amount of time and energy to supporting and developing umpires in South Australia each year, who benefit from his considerable eye for detail. Mr Linton George Donisthorpe. Mrs Suzanne Harris is recognised for service to youth, particularly to young women. Each year, millions of girls worldwide are forced to miss days of school because they don't have access to proper menstrual supplies. Mrs Harris's work with the Days for Girls international program is helping to overcome the stigma of menstruation, particularly in developing communities, and to provide women and girls with the supplies they need. After learning about the impact washable, reusable sanitary pads can make to the lives of young women, Mrs Harris started making kits and has encouraged others to join the movement. Alongside health education, with something so simple yet effective, young women are able to continue schooling or other activities with dignity and good hygiene. A former registered nurse and midwife, Mrs Harris started the Adelaide chapter of Days for Girls, which she has served as South Australian Director for more than 4 years. She's been an enthusiastic promoter of the program for more than 10 years. Mrs Suzanne Harris. Dr Clive Anthony Hume is recognised for service to medicine. Since beginning his medical career 45 years ago, Dr Hume has dedicated himself to bridging the gap between metropolitan and regional healthcare by delivering patient-centred care to country Australians. During his 8-year tenure as Principal General Practitioner at the Broken Hill Medical Practice, Dr Hume served as the Senior Flying Doctor for the Royal Flying Doctor Clinic. Soon after, he was appointed as Aeromedical Services Chief Medical Officer in New South Wales and, until recently, served as the Senior Medical Practitioner for the Royal Flying Doctor Service Central Operations. Dr Hume has maintained an interest in occupational medicine since his days in Broken Hill and has served as a medical examiner for the South Australian Employment Tribunal, the Motor Accident Commission and the Civil Aviation Safety Authority. Dr Clive Anthony Hume. Mr Bruce Maxwell Ind is recognised for service to the community through a range of roles. Mr. Inn's experience of living with vision impairment has provided him with a unique insight into how to best support those with low vision and how to educate the public on the importance of guide dogs. Only a year after receiving his first guide dog, Mr. Ind was appointed to the board of Guide Dogs South Australia and Northern Territory, and in 2013 was appointed as Deputy Chair of the organisation. He is a passionate advocate and leading contributor to the Community Talks program, which provides opportunities for people to learn about the role that guide dogs play in the community. A member of the Uniting Church, Mr. Ind has spent the last 2 decades as chair of the Morialty Uniting Church Council. A long-time member of the Rostrevor Campbelltown Kiwanis Club, Mr. Ind has also held a range of executive positions, including director. Mr. Bruce Maxwell Ind. Mr. Alan James Polkinghorne is recognised for service to basketball. At 15 years old, Mr. Polkinghorne's minister encouraged him to start playing basketball to provide him with a positive focus. This spurred a lifetime commitment to the sport, beginning as a player and referee with the South Australian Church Basketball Association in the 1950s. Mr. Polkinghorne has been a loyal member of that association as an official and administrator, including time as its president, vice president and secretary. He is an experienced editor of the association's Centres Please referee magazine. Mr. Polkinghorne was also a referee evaluator for Basketball South Australia from 1990 to 2006. And in 2014, Basketball South Australia inducted him into the Platinum League of Referees. SA Church also awarded Mr. Polkinghorne a life membership in 1993, with life membership of Basketball South Australia following in 2021. Mr. Alan James Polkinghorne. Ms. Gillian Yvonne Whittaker is recognised for significant service to local government and to the community. Ms. Whittaker is devoted to the prosperity and well-being of her local area, the City of Campbelltown. She has represented the Newton ward as an elected member for 20 years and is currently Mayor, the first woman to undertake this role. Ms. Whittaker is a past board member and Vice President of the Local Government Association of South Australia, where she worked diligently to advocate for people with disabilities and as Chair of the Research and Development Scheme Committee. Ms. Whittaker has been a member of the Australian Local Government Women's Association South Australian branch and has experience as its social media officer. Apart from her local government roles, she has been a committee member with the Migrant Resource Centre and Chair of the Norwood Community Legal Service. She was also founding president of the Lions Against Violence sub-branch and is currently its vice president. Ms. Gillian Yvonne Whittaker. Your Excellency, that concludes the presentations for this morning.
Well, thank you, everyone. And I have the pleasure of not only seeing the faces of award recipients close up, but also getting a sense of your reactions as well to what you're hearing. There were times when you were smiling, there were times when you were quite serious, but I think everyone was listening intently, and I think you probably now have a better sense of the extraordinary service that I spoke of earlier. So everyone, please let's congratulate our award recipients again, and we'll look forward to meeting you afterwards to have a chat to all of you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Can I please ask recipients to remain in the room for the group photograph and invite guests to join Her Excellency and Mr Bunton in the drawing rooms for morning tea. If you are able, please be upstanding for the departure of Her Excellency the Governor and Mr Bunton. Guests, please follow the official party to the drawing rooms for morning tea. Thank you very much.